The first bulldozer rolled toward the weathered fence expecting to clear away another mountain of worthless wood scraps, but instead it stopped in stunned silence. Beyond that fence stood rows of handcrafted furniture, towering warehouses filled with premium lumber products, and hundreds of workers whose livelihoods had grown from the very piles the factory had mocked for 2 decades. The same executives who had laughed while dumping their waste there now stood speechless, realizing that the forgotten black boy they had ignored had quietly transformed their garbage into an empire worth millions. Before we continue, if you believe kindness can change lives, forgiveness is stronger than revenge, hope deserves a second chance, and ordinary people can achieve extraordinary things, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs encouragement today, and subscribe to our channel to become part of our growing family and community that celebrates inspiring stories of resilience and redemption. 20 years earlier, every sunrise over the small American manufacturing town painted the same familiar picture. The old furniture factory buzzed with noisy machinery while trucks carried away polished cabinets and expensive tables destined for wealthy homes across the country. Yet another truck followed behind them every afternoon, hauling mountains of rough wood scraps, broken boards, uneven planks, twisted beams, and discarded hardwood pieces. None of it seemed valuable to the factory. Every afternoon the driver dumped the enormous load beside the aging fence surrounding a tiny property where a young black boy named Everett Caldwell lived with his widowed grandmother, Lorraine. Nobody ever asked permission. Nobody offered payment. The factory simply decided that unused land beside the fence made a convenient dumping place, believing the family was too poor and powerless to complain. Lorraine never allowed bitterness to settle inside her heart. She often looked across the growing hills of wood and reminded Everett that people sometimes throw away things because they fail to recognize their value. She would smile gently while telling him that the same mistake could happen to people if they allowed the opinions of others to define them. Everett listened carefully every afternoon while helping her sort through the endless piles. His hands grew rough long before childhood should have ended, but his imagination became sharper with every piece of discarded oak, maple, walnut, and cherry he rescued from the heap. Instead of seeing waste, he saw possibilities waiting patiently beneath layers of dust. Life was never easy. Their small house leaned slightly with age. Rain occasionally slipped through the old roof despite Lorraine's constant repairs. Bills arrived faster than income. The grocery budget required painful sacrifices almost every week. Many neighbors pitied them, while others quietly assumed they would remain trapped in poverty forever. Children riding bicycles sometimes laughed as they passed the towering scrap pile surrounding the property, calling it the town's junkyard. Everett pretended not to hear, though each careless laugh settled deep inside his heart. Everything began changing when Everett discovered an old woodworking magazine at a community donation center. Inside were photographs of elegant handcrafted furniture selling for astonishing prices. He stared at every page until the corners became worn. The realization struck him with incredible force. The expensive pieces shown in glossy magazines were built from the very same hardwoods lying abandoned outside his fence. The difference wasn't the wood. The difference was vision, patience, craftsmanship, and belief. Without money for professional tools, Everett started collecting broken hand planes, rusted saws, dull chisels, and damaged clamps from yard sales and community giveaways. Lorraine helped restore every tool with remarkable patience. Each afternoon remained filled with sunlight as they repaired equipment, sanded wood, practiced carving, and learned through endless mistakes. Countless early projects cracked apart, leaned awkwardly, or simply failed to resemble the beautiful furniture pictured in magazines. Everett refused to quit. Every failure taught him another lesson hidden inside the grain of the wood. Years passed beneath bright morning skies and warm afternoon sunlight. The factory never noticed the gradual transformation occurring beyond its fence. Workers continued dumping scraps exactly as they always had. Some even joked that they were keeping Everett supplied with enough firewood for life. None of them imagined those discarded hardwoods were becoming handcrafted shelves, benches, rocking chairs, and dining tables admired by local customers who valued quality over perfection. Lorraine insisted every customer deserved honesty above profit. Whenever a board contained a natural knot or unusual grain pattern, Everett proudly explained its history rather than hiding it. Customers appreciated the transparency. They realized every piece carried its own story instead of pretending to be factory perfection. Word slowly spread through nearby towns that a humble craftsman was creating furniture unlike anything available in large retail stores. His waiting list quietly began growing longer every season. Just as success seemed within reach, another hardship arrived. Lorraine's health weakened after years of tireless work. Even while growing physically frail, she continued sitting outside during sunny afternoons, carefully sanding smaller wooden pieces with slow, determined hands. Everett often wished she would rest, but she insisted purpose gave people strength beyond medicine. She reminded him daily that building an honest life mattered more than building a wealthy one. The day Lorraine passed away beneath the gentle afternoon sun became the hardest day Everett had ever faced. Grief nearly convinced him to abandon everything. Walking through endless piles of wood without hearing her encouraging voice made every board feel unbearably heavy. For weeks he struggled to find motivation. Customers patiently waited, sensing the sorrow behind his silence. One afternoon an elderly customer arrived carrying a rocking chair Everett had built years earlier. Though the chair showed signs of age, it remained sturdy and beautiful. The woman explained that her late husband had spent every peaceful afternoon sitting there, reading stories to their grandchildren. She thanked Everett for unknowingly giving her family countless priceless memories. As she left, Everett realized Lorraine had been right all along. He was never simply making furniture. He was helping build moments that families would treasure for generations. That realization reignited his purpose. Everett expanded carefully without abandoning his values. Instead of chasing rapid profits, he hired young people who struggled to find opportunities. Some came from difficult neighborhoods. Others carried painful family histories or lacked formal education. Everett recognized pieces of his younger self inside each of them. He patiently taught woodworking, responsibility, craftsmanship, and dignity. Every employee learned that mistakes were opportunities for growth rather than reasons for humiliation. His workshop evolved into a place where discarded wood and discouraged people discovered new purpose together. Customers noticed more than exceptional craftsmanship. They sensed hope woven into every table, every bookshelf, every cabinet, and every chair. National magazines began featuring the remarkable business built almost entirely from reclaimed hardwood. Environmental organizations praised Everett for reducing waste. Designers admired the unique character of naturally aged lumber. Orders arrived faster than production could keep pace. Meanwhile, the old factory faced growing financial struggles. Years of wasteful practices, changing markets, and poor leadership slowly pushed the company toward collapse. Ironically, executives searched desperately for ways to reduce expenses while standing only yards away from the solution they had ignored for decades. Mountains of discarded hardwood represented enormous hidden value they had never bothered to understand. When bankruptcy proceedings finally forced the factory to close, heavy machinery arrived to clear the surrounding property. That was the morning the bulldozer reached Everett's fence and stopped in disbelief. Instead of abandoned junk, workers discovered a thriving manufacturing campus producing premium handcrafted furniture exported across the country. Hundreds of employees moved confidently through spotless workshops where every remaining scrap found meaningful use. Nothing was wasted. Every piece served a purpose. News reporters quickly gathered after hearing the astonishing story. Cameras captured endless rows of beautiful furniture crafted from lumber once considered worthless. Journalists asked Everett whether he felt satisfaction watching the factory fail after treating his family with such disrespect for 20 years. Many expected anger or revenge. Everett surprised everyone. He explained that carrying bitterness for 2 decades would have built nothing except resentment. The factory had made painful mistakes, but hatred would never have created opportunity. He admitted those years had often been unfair, humiliating, and exhausting. Yet every pile dumped beside his fence had also become another lesson in perseverance. He chose gratitude for what he had built instead of celebrating what others had lost. His unexpected response spread across newspapers and television broadcasts nationwide. Business schools studied his leadership philosophy. Environmental experts praised his innovative recycling methods. Communities admired his commitment to hiring people who needed second chances. Yet Everett always insisted the greatest lesson had nothing to do with business. He believed true wealth came from recognizing hidden value where everyone else saw failure. Soon investors offered enormous sums to purchase his company. Everett politely declined every proposal that required sacrificing employee ownership programs or lowering craftsmanship standards. Instead, he expanded by opening training centers where young people learned woodworking free of charge. Graduates often launched successful businesses of their own, creating a ripple effect of opportunity that reached communities far beyond his hometown. Every sunny afternoon Everett still walked the original fence where everything had begun. Although the factory buildings eventually disappeared, he chose to preserve one small section of weathered fencing. Beside it stood a simple wooden plaque carved by his own hands. It reminded every visitor that greatness often begins where others stop looking. Children visiting the workshop loved hearing the story behind that old fence. They laughed in amazement that mountains of discarded scraps had once covered the ground beneath their feet. Everett never forgot Lorraine's wisdom. He established scholarships in her name, encouraging students to pursue skilled trades, craftsmanship, environmental innovation, and entrepreneurship. He believed communities became stronger when people learned not only how to earn a living but also how to recognize value hidden inside overlooked places and overlooked people. As visitors toured the workshops, they noticed something unusual. Every employee, from apprentices to senior craftsmen, understood the history of each piece they created. They knew whether the wood had once been destined for a landfill, rescued from demolition, or reclaimed from forgotten barns. Customers weren't simply buying furniture. They were preserving stories of resilience transformed into lasting beauty. Before this story comes to its close, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a meaningful comment sharing a moment when someone underestimated you or when you discovered unexpected value in something everyone else had overlooked. Your story could inspire someone in our community who needs hope today. Everett often reflected that the greatest miracle had never been the millions of dollars, the sprawling workshops, or the national recognition. The real miracle was that a frightened little boy standing beside endless piles of unwanted wood had refused to believe he was unwanted too. Every discarded board became proof that appearance never determines worth. Every handcrafted table became a reminder that patience can transform rejection into purpose. Every employee he mentored became living evidence that second chances can build stronger foundations than privilege ever could. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Remember that life often hides its greatest treasures inside the things the world carelessly throws away. Sometimes the greatest empire is built not from perfect beginnings, but from faith, perseverance, forgiveness, and the courage to see value where everyone else sees nothing at all.